inspirada y creo que aprendí bastante. En este momento me gustó muchísimo más escuchar lo que tenían que decir personas más jóvenes que yo, porque tienen otra forma de ver el mundo y me encantó verlo y escucharlos, que sí. Entonces, les vamos a pedir que en lo que van regresando, quien se hizo cargo de hacer estas anotaciones, nos hagan un breve resumen en el chat, eh, donde puedan decirnos cuáles fueron las conclusiones a las que llegaron. Algo breve. Quizás algunos puntos se repitieron, entonces solamente lo concluimos ahí. Y igual pueden poner, si quieren extenderse un poquito más en el chat, no hay problema, pero por favor pongan un breve resumen en el chat. Y ahora voy a dar paso a mi compañero Albert, que nos va a ayudar con este cierre de la sesión, porque ya estamos llegando al final del día, del primer día, entonces va a ser un gusto para mí verles el día de mañana. Y por mientras, pues me despido. Mañana va a ser mi último día como MC, así que estoy muy feliz y agradecida de haber compartido este espacio con ustedes.
Muchísimas gracias, Jocelyn. Muchas gracias por tu presentación extraordinaria. Eres excelente. Y pues, I invite everyone to really whether you were responsible for taking the notes in your team or not, we really would like to invite you to put your thoughts in the chat. Again, we really want, it's online platforms are limited, but it's really a way that we can make sure that everyone's voice is heard. Oh, there's a bit of noise. Are you still able to hear me, everyone? Yeah, okay. So I'll carry on. So yeah, really make the chat your own. I really like the fact that during the presentations earlier, people were able to comment and sort of nuance what some of the interveners were saying. It's a great way to maintain the conversation going. And so just feel free to express your thoughts, your feeling, and it would be really great to use the chat in order to have some good overview of what may have been said in the breakout rooms in the pod sessions. So I will now welcome Rebecca Nellims that will be introducing a short closing speech, and then we'll just have a quick conclusions and say each other goodbye. I don't know if Rebecca, you're here.
Thanks so much, Albert. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. Yes. My name is Rebecca Nellims, and I'm joining you from the unceded Coast Salish territories of the Lekwungen and the Kusapsin nations on the northwest coast of Turtle Island. And I have the honor of introducing a video of our next speaker, Severn Cullis Suzuki. Severn's been an activist for intergenerational justice her whole life, justice for future generations. Deeply concerned about the environment as a child, Severn started the Environmental Children's Organization with friends in grade 5, and then culminated in a few years later giving a speech to the UN Earth Summit at the age of 12. And today, Severn's focus is the nexus of decline and diversity of biodiversity, worldviews, economies, languages, traditional knowledges, and identities. Severn lives now on the archipelago of Haida Gwaii off the coast of British Columbia with her husband and her sons. And she has prepared this video for us for our session.
Hello, everyone. My name is Severn Cullis Suzuki, and I'm so honored to be speaking to you today. I'm speaking to you from Haida Gwaii, an archipelago off the west coast of Canada. It is the home of the Haida Nation since time immemorial. Scientists tell us that this means some 13,000 years. We're not able to be physically together at this event, so I thought we could take a moment, each of us could think just for a moment about whose territories you are standing on. Who are the indigenous people of the land where you are situated? Who are they? Where are they? It's been a wonderful sea change that we've seen in the last few years in Canada, that people are acknowledging at public events whose territory they are on. Much of it here in Canada is unceded territory. It was never treated, it was never given over. And the people of the land, the people who have been here for thousands of years, have stewarded and taken care so that we, immigrants and settlers, can enjoy this land today. So I wanted to acknowledge the people of the lands where we are all situated. I'm very honored to be speaking to you all today at this very particular moment in time. I've been an activist for intergenerational justice my whole life. And so it's very moving and important to me to be speaking to you, youth leaders who are fighting for change and justice. A generation ago, I was a youth activist. Out of a deep love of nature, I cared deeply about the destruction that I was seeing in my home province of British Columbia. We were seeing clear cuts of our rainforests. We were experiencing pollution. And as a child, I was really worried about what scientists were telling us lay ahead for our future. And they were starting to talk about something called global warming. I started a club with some friends in grade 5. We educated ourselves about environmental issues. We produced a series of newsletters for other children with the information we were learning. We fundraised for various local and international projects that we were hearing about. We bought a water filter for the Penan people of Sarawak who were experiencing pollution in the rivers due to logging. And we came together to try to make a difference. And we felt that, you know, it was good to be together. It was good to organize. It was good to try together with friends and colleagues. And after a few years, we heard about a big meeting that was going to be held far away from where we were in Vancouver, Canada. It was going to be a big meeting of the UN that was going to be held in Rio de Janeiro. It was going to be the largest gathering of heads of state ever held, and they were going to address the key issues of our time of environment and development. And it was said that this meeting was going to change the course of our human story. So we thought, our little club thought, you know, wow, there's going to be all of these old men getting together and talking about our future. There should be someone there to represent those who were truly going to be affected by these decisions. So he thought, well, maybe we could go. And I remember telling my dad our idea, and he said, you're crazy. There's going to be 30,000 people there. It's going to be an absolute gong show. But we were just so captivated by this idea. We started to tell teachers, other parents about this idea, and lo and behold, people started donating money to our cause. And so after we started getting actual money donations, we realized, okay, we got to actually make a plan. And my mother helped us. She said, okay, you want to raise money, you need a plan, you need to start fundraising, you need to start making pitches for money and refine, why do you want to go there? What are you going to do? And we learned how to raise money. We got support from our community. To make a long story short, we were able to raise the funds to send 5 of us down to Rio. Rafi, the children's singer, became a big supporter, and he actually came down to Rio with us. Okay, so we got there. Then what? Well, we registered as a nonprofit at the Global Forum, which was where all the NGOs were. It was a huge area. There were different parts of the conference that were going on throughout the city of Rio. And that's where we worked every day. We had a little booth, and between the 5 of us, we spoke 4 different languages. We were able to speak with many of the different delegates that were all milling around, exchanging information, the activists that were there, the people who were pushing for change. And we realized that instead of being ignored because we were children, because we were youth, we were 12 and 13 years old at the time, instead of being ignored, we actually drew a lot of attention. People were wondering why these kids were there. at such a serious conference. And so we were able to explain that we were worried, we were scared for our future. And after 2 weeks of hard work, speaking to everyone we can, get invited to side events, speaking there, then meeting other people, getting invited to other small events. Finally, after 2 weeks, we got a call from the UN. Someone had dropped out of a plenary session, and we had been recommended to fill in. We raced to the UN compound in a crazy taxi, scribbling speeches in the back seat, and raced in, and I was able to give a 5-minute address to a plenary session. You can see the speech that I, as a 12-year-old, gave so long ago today on YouTube. It is incredible that it was recorded. We didn't realize at the time, you know, of course, all UN proceedings are taped, and it was recorded, and later on it was sent to us, and many years later someone uploaded it on YouTube after YouTube was invented, and we're still able to see that speech today. What did I tell them, those delegates who were there representing the world? Our little club hoped to play a role as conscience, to make the political delegates remember that the reason they were there was not for their political affiliations, for their political necessary their negotiations. Their first duty was to future generations. We asked them to think of their own children when they were making decisions. And I asked them to make their actions reflect their words. When I spoke to the world leaders, I thought that they would change the world. And if you look at the legally binding declarations that came out of that Rio Earth Summit back in 1992, almost 30 years ago, the Convention on Biodiversity, the Convention on Desertification, and the UN Convention on Climate Change, which is the foundational convention that set up the COP meetings. Those declarations are radical by today's standards. That was a generation ago. And we all know the story of how those promises were acted on. They were not. After Rio, instead, we witnessed the rise of the corporate agenda. We witnessed the rise of a focus on economic growth and profit instead of planetary health. On the climate file, instead of the world pulling together as we knew we had to prevent massive climate change, we watched a campaign of climate denial to confuse the public on the issue, led by the oil and gas sector, who have no intention of losing profits. We as a human society were not able to take the steps that we agreed to back in 1992 in order to stop climate change. Since Rio, we continued to see the decline of biodiversity that is now widely known as the onset of the 6th mass extinction event of the history of our planet. Today, the rate of extinction is 100 to 1,000 times what the background rate is, what the normal rate is. The main cause of this extinction, however, is due to a single species. It's due to the actions of humans upon the natural world. Not only are we shutting down diversity biologically, ecologically, but we are also shutting down diversity in our own human realm, in the ethnosphere, that beautiful concept of the collective sum of human cultures, custom, language, songs, traditions, and worldview. In the most recent decades of human existence, everywhere on this planet, the human family has been steadily leaving its homelands. We have been leaving the family farms, the hunting and gathering grounds, retreating away from rural living, We've been leaving life on the land. We're hunkered down into an urban identity now, and this identity is tied to a global capitalist model. We've been joining the masses that become poor when they step into that system, even as our rural lands are becoming hammered by extreme resource extraction, burning and pollution, and climate changes. In my life, I've spent so much time wondering what it would take to get us all on the same page. What would allow us to truly transform to a sustainable way of globalized human life. And now we are at a very particular moment. We are in the wake of a global pandemic, of a globally experienced phenomenon. We've had a shared experience that all humanity has had together at the same time, at once. We've been in isolation, yet we've been together. This experience has been shared by all countries, all races, all beliefs, all political positions. And while, of course, the classes and the different sectors of our societies have been having different experiences facing those challenges, and the level of trauma varies widely, everyone has experienced a drastic change from what they were used to. We have all been very vulnerable in the face of a pandemic. And now, as things are subsiding, as things are getting better, we have a moment where we could learn. As with any crisis, problem, challenge, there are deep teachings, but they are only there if we choose to see them. Supporting those most oppressed by crises of planetary health, like COVID-19 and like climate change, is essential for us all, because their wisdom, strength, and connection to nature offers us the hope that there is a different choice for humanity. They are connected with sustainable principles and ways of living. And because of our collective experience this past year, perhaps COVID has prepared us to actually deal with climate change. It has certainly brought our callous economic growth focused culture face to face with some sacred truths. Truths we need to remember if we are to properly address and deal with climate change. We've relearned that nature is the true bottom line. We are living, breathing, eating animals made of flesh and bone and susceptible to disease and to death. This is something that we forgot, or maybe we ignored, living in the global north and working to uphold the current industrial complex. COVID-19 has reminded us all that, too, science and information are essential to our survival. Science is a tool that we developed, we humans, in order to analyze more and more information so that we could make greater and greater predictions about the future. Science gave us the iPhone that I'm using to record this video. And now, though inconvenient, science is telling us that man-made carbon is creating climate change. We have relearned through COVID that we are all connected. A virus has shown how we are all connected to each other, how connected we are to China, to England, to the US. COVID has shown us that we need radical empathy to make it through. Throughout the pandemic, we have been shown time and time again how humans can be empathetic. We saw this throughout the whole year, with neighbors looking out for one another, with acts of kindness through small and large actions. I want to acknowledge the nurturers, the people on the front lines. Thank you. The people who made such an impact for us, the people who allowed us to get safely through, who navigated us through that storm. Thank you. It is in our human nature to nurture, to take care of one another. And this side of us, I think, throughout the pandemic has been clear and strong to take care of each other. Nurturance culture. That culture is the opposite of a culture of violence. And perhaps the teaching that is most important of all, we've learned through COVID-19 that we have agency. Each of our actions matter. My own actions, whether or not I chose to wear a mask, to wash my hands, those actions resulted in potentially risking someone's life. Even a year ago, or well, now 2 years ago, this would have seemed like absolute lunacy, very extreme to say something like that. Now we know that that is true. Each of our actions matter. So now we cannot deny that we are powerful. These are hard-earned, uncontestable lessons that we have learned during COVID. Perhaps if we realize the wisdom that we have gained through this hard time, we just might make the right steps that will get us to our goal, a zero carbon economy by 2050. So in closing, I believe that we all, as a human family, have every capacity to become a sustainable society in the face of our existential ecological challenges. But it's up to everyone, to each of us, to make that transformation, to come together collectively, cast off what is not working for the future. You all know this. This is why you are here today. And I think that at this moment, right now, we have a chance. COVID has given us a chance to realize this throughout all society, throughout all levels of society, to make that transformation. We now know that governments are capable to act in the face of emergencies. We now know what real emergency action looks like. We know that governments can work together across political party lines. We know that they can act swiftly. We know they can do it. We're not going back to how it was before COVID. We have to move forward. Our society-wide teachings give us a chance to collectively say, no, we're not going back to what we were. We have to transform the old, crumbling, inequitable carbon economy to a just economy that promotes life and well-being and the future. When I was a youth working together with other youth activists, people used to call us leaders of tomorrow. We were living at a time when environmental problems were looming, but they were not yet felt by all. And today, a generation later, the predictions that people were talking about back then are coming into being. And those with the youth the most at stake, the youth, are rising up. Just as we have seen in other eras where youth have been on the front lines, the civil rights movement, protests against the war in Vietnam in the 60s, the Arab Spring, we are seeing this now. It is clear to me, it is clear to us adults that you are not the leaders of tomorrow. You are the leaders today. I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for stepping up to the cause and for the work that you are doing for our human family and for our planet. Thank you. And I wish you all the best in your work ahead and for listening to me today.
well, thanks, Severn. Thank you, Rebecca, also for playing and introducing. So I will just, we're arriving at the conclusion of today. I'll be very short. I just wish to thank everyone and really recognize, the dedication, that the fact that you're still here after almost 4 hours of a consultation really, testifies of it's it means so much that you're still here after so many hours and that you're still interested and that we still feel your attention to what is being said, and really thank you. And at the end, I think it's important to repeat it, but you're the knowledge here, especially young people, but really people of all generations, and your perspective is so important, and the effort that you're making to stay here and the energy that you're dedicating to this process really are worth a lot to us, and they come as a responsibility. And in the name of the whole team, I would really like to thank you. And I would also like to thank the team of interpreters that is that's enabling us to understand each other in all of these languages we've been going back and forth to. This is really precious in order to build the global comprehension we need. I would like to also thank the technical team. I think we can all celebrate the significant improvement since this morning, since the very first session. I think our sound is a lot more stable. My mic has stopped being blocked from activation. So yeah, I really thank you for your work. Thank you for making it all work. Thank you to all the people who facilitated sessions, to all the committees that are behind, all the people working on the committees that have put this consultation together. I think that just the fact that we are here, that the channels are open, that we're getting to know each other is worth being celebrated, and is a victory itself. And so thank you so much for your precious contributions. I feel like it's only been the first day. It's only really the premises of this consultation, but it's already been very rich, and not only in content, but I feel it's been humanely rich.